this is why it's so easy to win in sales, because most people are out there are amateurs. And if you just put in the extra time, the training, get around people that are doing it at a high level, pay them if you have to learn from them. And if you just do that, you put in the work, you put in the training, you're gonna excel, because most
Mhm.
people, again, they're amateurs. They're not putting in the work. So it's easy to beat them.
Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Thank you to Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Look, my wife and I, we see Tracy and her team every single month for couples massage, and it is the best thing. Tracy is a master massage specialist and a Hanu Ashiatsu trainer. You need to reach out to Tracy and her team. Make sure that you tell them that I sent you, and you'll get $25 off your next massage. Also, while you're there, check out CDA Brows, Body, and Ink. Make sure to tell Tracy that I sent you, and you'll save $100 on your next tattoo, brows, and plasma tightening services. Rio, you're a husband, you're a father, serial entrepreneur, you're the founder of Alpha Army, and so much more, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I like to kick every show off by going back a bit. Where did you grow up, and what was childhood like for you?
So I grew up in small town, Globe, Arizona, copper mining town. At the time, I think at the time there probably around 8,000 people, so not a lot.
Wow.
Um, like I said, copper mining town, blue collar town. You go to high school, you get out of high school, you go to the mines.
Okay.
So my family actually all still in the mines. Love
Wow.
them to death, but I was the only one that was kind of able to make it out of that one. And I think eventually someday they'll get out of it. I'm working on some stuff with them, real estate stuff. But yeah, so Globe, Arizona, that's where I started. Yeah.
Come on. That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, that sounds like a town that I grew up in. Either you got married and had babies, or you got the hell out of town. And I was one of those guys that got the hell out of town. For
I
you,
did
what
both.
was the drive to become an entrepreneur? And was there someone that inspired you to go this route then?
Um, so I think it's one of those things where um, you kind of, in other people, you see what you don't have. We didn't have anything. My dad left. I mean, I think, yeah, while I was still a baby. So
Wow.
just my mom working. My grandma helped out a lot. My mom has always gone working. So from a very young age, I was just kind of running the streets on my own, like literally like 5 years old. Sounds crazy, but I think things were a little bit safer back then. But
Totally.
um, I had a friend of mine that he was kind of the one in town. His family had money. They had the house up on the hill type thing. And it was one of those things where every time I went there, it was just like, okay, like my house doesn't look like this. My house doesn't
Mhm.
smell like this, even like, yeah, even down to the smell, which is crazy. And I don't know. I think from a very young age, that kind of affected me. I'm like, I like this way better than what I have going on. And
Yeah.
just over time, just different things
Man,
like
that's
that.
such a
Where I'm
so good,
from,
dude.
it's kind of
I
a
think
good. What's that?
I think it's so good. I mean, I think some people fall into like the comparison side of things, and they start kind of over getting, we're just lost in comparison. But like when you see something that motivates you, like that situation, man, I think it can really propel you to where you're at today, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely did. It just kind of, again, it just showed me kind of, that there's more out there and you can do more. And as I grew up and learned, thankfully, coming from the blue collar background, it was one of those things where once you go work in the mines and you do that for some years, it's like everything's easy after that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so coming from that and then, getting into business over the years and all that, it's like, yeah, there's hardships all the time. There's things that happen, but is it really that hard? It's really not. And so I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful for the blue collar family that I came from, and
Mhm.
very hardworking family. And that's 1,000,000% helped me on my journey.
Yeah. Oh man, so good. I really want to get into this Alpha Army that you have here. For those who don't know, what is Alpha Army, and what are the things that high achievers in Alpha Army are doing that others just are not doing?
So, so we own three home service based businesses: solar, roofing, and then we're licensed public adjusters. Alpha Army is basically like the recruiting arm for that.
Okay.
So that's what we use to bring in people. So a lot of what we do is door knocking. So we recruit teams for that. So in terms of what we do, or some of our guys, I think a lot of it comes down to our training, but it's also the programs that we have. So our program is a little bit different than what most like solar or even roofing companies do, because we bring in the public adjusting side. And with that, it just makes it so much easier to get into the house to even start a conversation, because it's like, hey, we see you have some damage on your roof. Let us help you go through your insurance to help you get a roof, your roof replaced. So with that, it's like, okay, now they know us, like us, and trust us. And then when we come in um, and like, hey, you guys can pick out your roofing colors and all that, we upsell the solar, and we do really well at that. And because of that, it's allowed a lot of our guys on our team to do really well. I mean, we have some of our top performers have done, you know, $50,000 months and more in some cases. So
Wow.
um, yeah, I mean, it's both. It's the training and it's the program that we have it's just kind of a special combination that you know, allows a lot of these guys to do some really cool things. And from young age, like uh, we have one kid. He was actually still in high school when he started with us, and he came in, and within the first like month, he was making more than his family makes.
Wow.
And you know, for him, low income family, all that, like that was a special thing. And for him to be
Mhm.
able to help out his family and do more for his family.
Man, so good. On your Instagram, you actually have a link where people can go and apply to, work with you there. When you're looking for folks or speaking with folks that are maybe thinking about joining your team there, what is it that you're looking for in them that would kind of pique your interest?
For me, and maybe my partners would see it different, but for me, it's just it comes down to someone who's willing to work. Like everything
Mhm.
else, you know, we can train you, we can do all these things, but you know, unfortunately, we live in a society right now where, you know, a lot of people don't want to work anymore. And
Yeah.
um, so that's really the first thing that always stands out to me. It's like, you know, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to get out there and grind and learn and you know, do the extra stuff? And if you are, you know, we'll put our time into you and the training, and we'll make sure that that you're doing well.
Love it. Love it, man. I mean, if someone's looking to get into sales or get better at sales there, can you maybe give like 2 or 3 practical tips that you would give them to kind of get on the right path?
I mean, literally, it just comes down to training.
Mm,
I'm reading a book right now, or I just finished it, by Stephen Pressfield. It's called Turning Pro, I believe.
okay.
Um, and it just talks about, you know, there's so many, most people out there. This is why it's so easy to win in sales, because most people are out there are amateurs. And if you just put in the extra time, the training, you know, get around people that are doing it at a high level, pay them if you have to learn from them. And if you just do that, you put in the work, you put in the training, you're gonna excel, because most
Mhm.
people, again, they're amateurs. They're not putting in the work. So it's easy to beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in the entrepreneur world, sometimes we eat like kings and sometimes it's top ramen months
Yeah,
and you
been
might
there.
feel a little fear or failure as you're going through it at some point. Like, how do you handle the fear and failure that's part of entrepreneurship?
So to speak for myself, I think it just comes down to, you know, I'm 42 years old. Um, I've had a life, especially, you know, in entrepreneurship. You know, it's been a 20 plus year journey. Um, I've had a life just full of resistance, just full
Mhm.
of things coming at me. And now at this point, you know, I have a lot of young guys that work for me. Even one of the partners, he's 23 years old, and I'll see, um, you know, something will happen, whatever, just resistance, a challenge pops up inevitably, and you know, I just see him struggling so much with it, and I'm just sitting
Mhm.
there like, dude, this is nothing. Like I've seen this before. And so to me, it's really that. It's the resistance over time creates that resilience. And when you have that, it's just like, you know, there's very few things that can come at me anymore that I'm just like, they don't phase me, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas some people who aren't maybe used to that, it's just like the world is ending. So yeah, I think that resistance creates the resilience over time, and you just get used to it.
So good. So good, man. I mean, you and I, we've both been guests on Brad Lee's podcast before. And one of the things that he mentioned to me when I was down there with him was he said, relationships are the new currency. Well, like, what are your thoughts on that? And how important is it to really be nurturing relationships?
It's everything for me.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you looked at my Instagram. It's
Yeah.
the first thing is relationship architect. So
Yep.
I learned that from about 6 years ago. Yeah, about 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I had just gone through a tough time. I had a partnership with my father-in-law, and it didn't work out so well. And through that, thankfully, I didn't lose my house or anything. But to be safe, to do all that, we had to sell the house. So we had to sell
Mhm.
it very fast. And in that transition, ended up moving in with my parents. It was supposed to be, like 2 months. It ended up turning into a year. And I'm married. I have kids. All that. It was a very tough time. Um, but at the time, I'm just like, I knew I needed some more time to be there and to go through that and to learn some new things that I need to do um, to grow. I'm sitting here talking, dude. I completely forgot the question. I apologize.
No, you're good, man. I was just saying, when I was talking with Bradley, he said relationships are the new currency. So I'm just
That's what it
curious,
was.
what's your thoughts on that, and like, how do people nurture relationships? You're the relationship architect, man, and which I love that title of you, by the way, man.
My
It's
Yeah, my
awesome.
apologies, dude. I'm sitting here just thinking about what I'm saying, and I lost my train of thought. But
Oh, it is so good,
um,
man. I love this conversation, man. Thank you.
yeah, dude. So in that transition, again, blue collar family. I came up. It was you do everything yourself. Like you just figured out you do everything yourself, and you know, and obviously into my 30s, that's kind of just how I thought. And when this hard time in my life happened, it was kind of one of those things where finally I'm like I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do. I need help. And that was hard for me because by nature, if you can't tell already, like I'm an introverted person. This even doing this stuff is hard for me. I'm getting used to it. Um, but it was through that there was a local event here in Arizona, and there was a guy by the name of John Malott. I don't know if you know him.
Yep.
Good friend, mentor of mine, and
Come on.
during that time, he had some events going on. So I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go. There was a couple of them that happened, and finally it was just like, I'm gonna reach out to him. I'm gonna see if hey, can we go to lunch and whatever. I've never done anything like that, and he said yes. And that was at the time when I started learning the power of relationships. I started learning like just how the world works, especially this entrepreneurship world, especially in the like Instagram space. And I just slowly like started building a relationship, started, letting him know I'm going to show up because, he's got a ton of people that are just, hey, I want to do something with you. I want to do this. And then they never do nothing, never take action. So I was
Right.
always the guy that took action. And I just let him know, hey, I'm going to show up. I was there. If I said I was going to do something, I was going to do it. And he, randomly called me up one day and was just like, hey, Rio, I want to start this program. I need your help. And we created a partnership right there. That partnership lasted about a year. And it was Empire Builders mentorship program. At
Yeah.
its highest, we had like 800 people in there.
Wow.
It's a great program. We had a lot of fun. Um, but the long story of what I'm getting at here is like that's when I learned the power of relationships.
Mhm.
And I took that, and it's like, you only got to tell me something once, and if I see it works, I'm all in. And now, and you could ask any of my guys here, it's just like that is literally my day to day, every single day, is building relationships with people,
Mhm.
nurturing those relationships, letting them, adding value to them, and getting value back as well. And so to me, and even to Brad, like I'm not going to sit here and say we're best friends, but we text back and forth here and there, and it's one of those things where it's like in the right time when there's going to be something that comes up. when you have these relationships that it's like, okay, hey, I got this opportunity. Let's build a business together. And that's
Mhm.
happened to me multiple times. Like I said, with John, I've had a partnership with him. Um, and we have some big things in the works that I can't necessarily talk about yet, but some mergers and things that we're working on with some big players like that. And it never would have happened um, if I didn't believe in the power of the relationship and building those relationships. And but it also goes back to a lot of people just think like I can get something from this guy, or he's got a big audience and I want it, or whatever. He could do something for me. And it's like, they just want to go into that and they just want to knock you over the head with a sell and, hey, let's do this and let's
Right.
do this. Um, my way is definitely the longer route, but I think it's the more
Mhm.
powerful route. And it's just like, no, look, I just want to add value to you. How can I help you? What can we do? Um, you know, where that value is, you see the value enough to be like, look, if the free thing that he's offering me here is worth money, then there's definitely more value there that we can get and potentially build a business together or something like that.
That's huge, man. Relationship building and nurturing those is absolutely key, man. You made the choice to reach out to him, which turned into a partnership, man. And it's all about those choices that you make. I think podcasting for me, I've been doing it since 2017, and the relationships that have come out of having people on my podcast, from Ed Milet to Brad Lee to, Bedros Koulian and Sean
Yeah.
Whalen, all these guys that have been on the show, like I still continue to reach out to these guys 2.5 years later, every
Yeah.
3-4 months, just checking in and not even checking in, just saying, hey man, I just want to encourage you to do that you're doing awesome. And I never ask for anything. I just want to
Yeah.
bring value to them, like you said, man. And know at some point they might be up in my area and they might say, man, Erik lives in Coeur d'Alene. He calls me every couple months. I want to go out and grab a burger with him. Right. All
Exactly.
about nurturing those relationships. It's huge,
Yeah.
man.
I agree. And real quick too, I didn't
Yeah.
even mention it, but like I'm new to this podcasting stuff. Um,
Yeah.
But I use that every day as a way to build those relationships, because it's like, okay,
Totally.
I don't know anybody. Most of the time, if you can reach out to some, not all the time. I mean, if these guys are way above you, they're not necessarily like wanting to do a podcast that's not getting a lot of views yet, but sometimes they are. Um, but look, I use that to build relationships, in hopes that, yeah, something else comes out of that. Like we've been bringing on some real estate people, because it's like, look, we own home service businesses. There's some value, I think, in referrals back and forth that we can help each other with, and we can all make more money together. So
Yeah.
the podcasting is new to me, but I absolutely love it for building relationships.
It is massive. I mean, most people that, like John Gordon, they probably wouldn't give me the time of the day if I just walked up to him and said, hey, give me 30 minutes of your time. But
Right.
if I'm reaching out and saying, I want to help you promote your show, promote your book, promote your course, they're like, heck yeah, it's free marketing for me. And then it
Yep.
turns into this awesome relationship from there. And podcast, I mean, this is almost 500 episodes in for me between two
Wow.
different shows. It's, I'll tell you, man, it's probably the best thing that's I've ever stepped foot into, and continue to go strong there. I wanted to jump back real quick through your journey as a husband, as a dad, as an entrepreneur. What do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learned?
Um, Definitely the value of time. In I would say my first life, I was married and had my first daughter when I was 18 years old. I had 3 daughters by the time I was 24. And I also was going through a divorce when I was 24. So in that first life, not to say that I'm not hustling now. I definitely am. I love to work. I love deals. I love to, build businesses. But um, it was one of those things where I was always gone. Like I was
Mhm.
always gone. I didn't see my 3 daughters that much, because I was just in the hustle. And, looking back now, and I have 2 more young kids now with my wife. We've been together almost 10 years, and
Nice.
it's it's just different. And I guess I don't want to say thankfully necessarily, because it sounds kind of bad, but in a way, I'm thankful that I did go through that, because I got to see, how that worked and how my relationships with my daughters is because, of that. And look, I'm making up for a lot of stuff now with them. And I hope I'm doing a good job, but it's definitely the value of time and prioritizing your time and making sure that, look, there could be the most important thing in business, a multi-million-dollar deal, but I've set a hard line where it's like I'm not missing the games. I'm not
Hmm.
missing the functions for my kids. Um, Hands down, it's more important to me than any amount of money or anything else.
So important to not miss those games and those dates and things like that
Yeah.
with your family. And I've been working from home since 2015. My kids started homeschool this year,
There you
and
go.
so they've only really known me to work from home, and now I get to see them all day long, and
That's
it's
awesome.
been fun not traveling. And I've always told employers like, hey, I'm not traveling during baseball season because I coach, and I'm
Yeah.
not traveling over baseball or anniversaries, etc. There. I mean, you've got the money, you've got the business, you have a great family. What is it that drives you to keep going at this point?
I mean, it's two things because I'm not gonna act like I don't I don't love what I do. I absolutely
Mhm.
love what I do. I mean, it just drives me. Nobody, I say no alarm clock, no nothing has to wake me up in the morning. Like I'm excited to wake up and go do what I'm blessed to be able to do. Absolutely. But it's definitely also the legacy. I want to leave a
Mhm.
legacy for my children of not just money. It's not really about that, but just hard work and going after your dreams. And
Yeah.
if you're willing to put in the work, you can make anything happen. And you know, I before I put my kids to bed every night, and it's just like, how do you get good at anything? It's practice and hard work. And
Yeah.
just instilling those things in them so that they know, when it's time for them to start their career or whatever that looks like, that like there's nothing you can't do. Like there's just not. Like
Right.
I don't care what anybody says, there's nothing you can't do. Like I am, you know, a a poor kid from a very small town that had nothing going for him but to go work at the mines, and I was able to make some stuff happen. And
Mhm.
I'm very proud of that, and I'm also very thankful and proud because I see the effect that it does have on relationships, from my hometown, and people seeing me doing things, and that I could just see it changing them. And like I knew Rio, like he was an idiot growing up. Like if he could do it, I could do it. And on top of that, my kids and my family, my youngest, or my I would say my first three daughters from my ex-wife, they they've been through the entire thing. My young kids, like alls they know is things to be good. But
Mhm.
my first, I mean, they saw it. They went through it with me, and they so now, and they even sometimes, I'll get a text from them just like, Dad, I'm really proud of you. Like, and
Wow.
that means everything. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing more important to me than that. That's everything to me.
I love that you said legacy because it's so important. And I'm 43. We're about the same age there. And, even for me, like podcasting for me is legacy. Like I wish that I could go back 3, 4 generations and see my great grandfather's face and
Yes.
hear his voice and hear his story. Now I can do that for 3, 4 deep generations deep down the Allen tribe, right? Like
Yeah,
they get to hear my voice and things like that. So I love legacy is so important for me as well.
absolutely.
Uh, I like to finish the show off with a big music question. I'm a big music fan, so I love to ask a question like, "What's a favorite band for you?" or "What type of music do you like to listen to?"
Man, that's tough. I'm one of those guys. I listen to everything. Like
Okay,
I could
yeah,
be at the gym. I could be anywhere from the Beach Boys to Metallica
nice.
to country. Like I listen to everything. Like, but I don't even. I'll be honest. I don't even know what it's called. Like EDM or something like that. I think it is. Like
Oh, sure, yeah,
the kind of basic. Like I'm everywhere. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of what I'm feeling that day. But honestly, if I was to pick out one thing, I would definitely say it's country.
yeah. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I used to work for Universal Records back in my early 20s, and it was straight
Okay.
metalhead at that time. Korn, Rob Zombie, Rage Against the Machine, all those guys. And then
Same.
they said, if you work here, you have to listen to other types of music. So it kind of
Right.
opened my eyes to other country and hip hop and all that stuff back in the day. So,
Yeah.
but now I'm kind of all over the place, like you as well. Man,
Yeah.
Rio, I love your story, man. Thanks for being transparent, dude. And I love what you got going on and talking about legacy and working with John. I'm excited about what you guys got coming up, man. Thank you so much for taking time, dude. You're an absolute world changer, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate it. I hope that my guest was able to bring you some amazing wisdom and knowledge to help you continue to fight for your goals, your dreams, and your purpose. If you could do me one big favor and just hit that subscribe button, I would so appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Keep changing the world. I believe in you. Have an amazing day.